Welcome to the Craetive Mind. It's nice to be back with you in this reality. Today we dive a bit into the afterglow and what that means for us. We also bloom into another conversation of creativity, art. Good morning.
Good morning. I just noticed that you were recording already.
Yeah, I thought I start this.
Why not? How you feeling?
Interesting question.
Yeah?
Yes. I think this is called creation mode.
Okay. I'm curious about that and what you mean.
Yeah, I had an interesting thought. I was just outside for a quick morning walk. And you also know how I felt yesterday.
Yep.
Like completely off and in a strange mood and in a chaotic mood and also strange feelings. And after my ayahuasca ceremony, didn't feel in any mode. I was just off yesterday, and then I thought, okay, it's all right. And today, on this morning walk, I felt it coming back, whatever it is. And I had an interesting thought because a lot of time people talk about routines, and in our stressful society, what calms them down, like, for example, a morning walk or a meditation or whatever it is. And then I thought, I don't have to be calmed down. I want to use this, what's inside of me. Why should I calm this down? You know what I mean? So, and that's how I feel today. Like there is something that wants to be expressed in some way, in whatever way.
I can relate to this in many different ways. And that's what you just described is my being since I've known myself. I suck at routine. As a matter of fact, I am uninspired by routine. Like it becomes a wall for me. It becomes a block. And people are like, no, you need discipline. You need routine. And this feeling that you have of every day. Okay, this is weird to say because yesterday was spring equinox. And today is supposed to be like the rebirth. And all that spiritual mumbo, okay, guys. But anyway, like that is what I'm addicted to in this human form, right? I enjoy the rebirth of that every day presents, which is why I do not like plans. I do not like coordinated ideas and these routines that humans robotically, systematically kind of conjure being like this format to a way to be a better human. And I'm just like, nah, bro. I just like wake up every day and be like, shit, well, let's do this again. What are we going to do? I don't know. I'm addicted to that. That's how I've been. And it's led me astray from being able to really reside comfortably in this society manifested world that we live in. But I don't care.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're talking about routines now because I told you 2 days ago, I had a phone call with my dad and he said, everything I learned which could help me feels like a must now. It feels like I have to meditate to calm myself down. I have to do this or that to heal myself, blah, blah. I think these things like meditation and walking and sports, whatever it is, of course they can help us. But if they are used to calm us down from this stressful life we are in, then I guess, or that's my thought right now, I don't know if that's so helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I have these ongoing thoughts in my head all the time. It's like, how I am like okay? It's okay for me, but is it okay for everyone else? It doesn't matter if it's okay for everyone else, but like, what connection do I have, and where am I in this puzzle that we have called life? What piece am I? What am I? Because these ideas that you said, where we need these exercise routines and like these runs and all these different ways to decompress all our daily life stresses, and yes, we have to sit down and meditate, and we have to do it every day and do my yoga, and I have to really put in lots of effort to reach this. I'm gonna let my ego speak a little bit here, but everybody's trying really hard in these aspects, especially when it comes to yoga and deep meditation. They're trying to reach a point that I just am every morning.
Yes.
I'm just there.
That's
every
what I
day.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to do this. Now I've spent my entire life, confused and not knowing that what I was doing, and the intent of where I've gotten. But like, maybe it's why I don't meditate so much and have this push to do that, because I'm like, I have rebirths every morning. I don't have to put in the extra work. And this is,
yeah, that's exactly what I meant. And what I realized this morning, because I don't want to, of course, I don't judge people doing yoga or all this stuff. No. That's there's nothing, if somebody, if it comes naturally out of somebody who wants to do yoga, then of course this is beautiful. But if the moment we do something in order to, it's off.
Yes, you just nailed it. I as you were saying that, I'm like, nothing inspires me more than to see someone who is in touch with their body and it's limber as can be, and they can do all these incredible moves. And I'm like, wow, I would love to tap into that kind of connection with my vessel.
Yeah,
it's not, but hearing you speak, I realized in that moment that there's two types of humans that I perceive in yoga. There's the people who dedicate their bodies into that, and they're not chasing the spiritual exhaustion release. They're just connected to their body. It's a completely different thing. And then there are the people who are just hell bent on reaching and as I said, releasing this exhaustion they have in their life. And you can tell in the fluidity of that person's being which side they stand on. They're chasing something. And this is the same. This is the same thing when it comes to like, people helping people, whether it's therapists, whether it's the same thing. You can feel this internal, like, no, I am trying, I am doing this, I am connecting, I'm going to heal. It's like, it's just, and then there's these other people that do it effortlessly. And that's what I mean. You see people in yoga and these things, they do it effortlessly. They don't carry that high energy of, it's really hard to put into language.
And of course, this also brings them into another state. But there's a difference, and you described it.
Yeah.
But I think here we are in the topic of the day, creation.
Yes.
What is creation?
And I'm as you know, I'm very excited about this, but I also feel intuitively there's something else I want to talk about, and it's not going to be a brief conversation because I'm planning on making it brief, but I don't think it's going to take much yet in time. But I do want to shed some light on it because for myself, it's going to open my doors to conversate about the creative side much more.
Mm-hmm.
As you just mentioned earlier, you said that I know that the mood you were in yesterday, and you and I had a very stimulating conversation last night.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like now I want to just reveal that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You had an off day, and we didn't conversate. We conversated a little bit, and then not so much. And then at night we got into the thick of it. And what was really beautiful about that for me was that I felt it. I felt the hints of the struggles that you had pre-ceremony, and I immediately recognized what you had gone through yesterday. The same I went through at some point in my post-ceremony. I love that I always call it ceremony now. But we spoke of the afterglow. And the afterglow is what the radiant energy and the radiant new perspective is, almost like a newborn with new eyes to the world, that you kind of float and are pulsated by days and sometimes weeks after your ceremony. I like calling it ceremony. But here's the thing about that. It wears off. It wears off. It does not stay. And that kind of, I would say, purgatory day, that purgatory moment that you realize, oh no, I'm settling back into myself that I know. I'm settling back into my thought patterns. I'm settling back into my tendencies and how I take certain things. Oh my God, was that just a trip? And I'm back home now. I got to go to like theoretically, I go to the beach, and you come back and you still got sand on your shoes, and you're like, oh, that's cool. I get a sunburn, I get a suntan, and then the suntan goes away and the sand evaporates, and you got to go back to work Monday morning. It's that feel and you're just like, what? No. I need it. Don't go away. I like it. And it's kind of a crash in a way. But before I go further, I'll let you step in and how you were feeling yesterday, if you feel like sharing, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I already said it a bit, and I thought about that too, because how I felt yesterday, I think the difference is to before and after ceremony. Now we're talking about the ceremony again, but the difference is that yesterday I was okay with feeling like this, because I knew, or kind of knew, what it was. I mean, you helped me in the afternoon to really understand what that was. But also, I think earlier in my life, I would have subconsciously judged myself. Like, you can't feel that way. You feel these emotions. You are not okay. You have to do something against it. Why are you feeling like this? And yesterday, I just thought, okay, I feel like this. I let all these emotions, whatever they are, be there. It's not that I was in a very emotional state, but I just wasn't in that, oh, I'm so in a good mood and life is so beautiful. I was just in another mood. And this is also life. So we talked about this already, but that's how I felt yesterday. And like you also described, I also felt some thoughts coming back, which I had before, like how do you say, the way I think. And I observed this and I said, okay, yeah, that's interesting that this is there now again. Why is it there again? Okay, which emotions are connected to that? And I was not thinking about this too much, but I felt and saw and observed that everything of this was there. And it didn't feel very well, to be honest. I felt very uncomfortable with myself yesterday, but it was all right for me. And I also thought, before I would have thought there's something wrong with me. But yesterday I thought there is nothing wrong with me. I am just feeling like this at the moment, and that's all right. And tomorrow will be another day. So, yeah, long way to answer your question. That's how I felt. Yeah,
that's a great way to answer my question. Yeah, this thing that we have, and I'm really happy that we're talking about this because I think it's important, especially the people that have followed our previous episodes about your journey and the journey and what these journeys are and what they consist of and what they can do for you as change in perspective. But we came to a beautiful conclusion last night, or a discovery, because I had this experience too, and I didn't want to talk with you about this. The really great thing about our connection, and particularly in the time of your journey, is that I had been through this journey a couple of years before you, and so I kind of knew, and my also extensive process of studying this world a little too much, because I get obsessed in these type things, but I kind of knew how to guide you without guiding you, meaning I knew what to not talk about and I knew what to talk about. And I knew how to facilitate that without being direct, meaning, like, for instance, I knew where to not guide you in research on maybe documentaries or something like this before that you went on your journey. And even afterwards, I knew what not to reveal and what to let you kind of discover for yourself, and also for myself as a spectator, is to see if this Afterglow crash was something that is natural to this, to the stages of this, and. The reason I think it's beautiful that we talk about this is because I think it's also very important for people to understand this, particularly now that we know a little bit more that it is kind of a natural stage.
Yeah.
And our conclusion last night was, and again, I don't know where this came from, but it's the idea for myself that when I was in this afterglow of this profound experience that I had and these new lenses of sight that I could peer through, I wanted to stay in that glow, but the glow indeed faded. And I wanted so bad that my life get integrated into that glow. I realized that during the glow. And when it faded away, it's almost like I was kind of grabbing at it, pulling at it. No, come back. Don't lose. Because I don't want to go do this again. I thought this is a one-time thing for me. It's like, but after talking last night, it kind of came and manifested into like more articulated linguistic definition that I think what most of us experience and have in this is that we, as I said, we want to integrate our life into this glow, when in fact, what we should learn to do is to take the glow and integrate it into ourselves, which will then vanish within us. We almost won't even see it. We won't feel it. We're like, it's gone, but no, it's in you. And then you look within yourself and discover the glow that you now have within you somewhere. And that way it comes and goes. Like I told you yesterday, I had this like glow that just bloomed out of me, and I was able to start creating and painting. And I think this is important to say to people, because, and the reason I want to say this is because I've seen this so much, particularly here in Europe and even in the States, with my friends who are in this world of, you want to call it self-healing or whatever you want to call it, whatever terminology suits you. But these discoveries in this world, and these people do these medicines looking through the keyhole. And And then that wears off. And then there's this panic mode of like, no, it must have not been enough. I feel a calling to do something else then. All they want to do is get that glow back. So they will go do another one, maybe a month or two later, a few months later. And then they get in this cycle of like, oh God, I've had such a bad month. And I just can't figure anything out. My head's blown. I'm stressed. I think I just need to go connect with Mother Nature. I think I need to go have another ceremony. And it becomes a chase.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a chase. And I just feel intuitively, again, my perspective, that that's not the way. You experience this, you absorb it into your life, not your life into it. And then you can find it within yourself. And I don't know why I'm speaking like some kind of guru right now, because I'm not, but I'm going to stop there for a second.
No, but it's so interesting you're saying this, because I'm just thinking about what was going on inside of myself yesterday. And that's exactly it. This is the process you just described, because I also found myself in some thoughts, okay, what can I do to get back to this state? And the next moment I thought, no, that's not the way. I have to use this, what's now inside of myself. But I had an interesting thought, because I felt like we are so conditioned in our society to suppress these emotions that are coming then, or the processes like yesterday, because we think that there is something not normal with us when we are in a day like this. We have to do something against it. We don't have the time, blah, blah, blah. We have the time. And even if we feel like this, we should take the time to just be like this, because that's where this, it's interesting. It's just what I feel right now. That's how we integrate this glow, because this glow for me is what we talked in the ceremony, or in the episode about the ceremony, is that everything is a process, and that it comes in waves, and we are in the up and we are in the down. And yesterday also these down moments, they have to evolve in some way. So that what is there, then we need the time to go through this to create something, because that's how I feel today. And also, I think that's it. And yesterday I just thought it is crazy how much we are conditioned to suppress these kind of states. But that is also part of growing. Or
for me, it's a part of society's construction. As you said, we live in a world today where, for instance, we get a headache. What do 95% of the humans on the planet, first world, second world country people I'm speaking of here, what do they do when they get a headache? Do they go find some Tylenol, some ibuprofen, and get rid of the headache? How many people go, am I dehydrated? What did I eat? Do I have a crick in my neck? Should I stretch? Does anybody analyze what's causing the headache, or do they immediately go for the suppressant? It's the same thing that we are. It's just integrated into society to suppress things.
Yeah.
Whether it be with a glow that you just came back from of a ceremony, or a sports game, or whatever it is, we're chasing this immediate suppressed, just make me feel relaxed, to not analyze, and this is where kids are so involved. Like, we should start at the kids again. We should start at the kids, because I feel like for us, it's too late. It's too late. I mean, it's not too late. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying give it up. But it's going to take, it will then take a lots of effort to reprogram. But like, the most beautiful thing that we can do is, hey, how about stop worrying about so much about ourselves? And if we were all one, turn to our children and let's create a different world with them. Let's stop worrying so much about us. Let's create that different world. Let's focus on the kids.
I had I agree. I had such an interesting picture in my head right now of you telling people getting a headache and taking a pill against it to fight it. I felt yesterday also like there's something inside. At some point in my life, I would have fought against it. But yesterday, for example, I just let it be there. And it felt like a volcano coming to an eruption. But people try to fight this volcano inside, and at some point it will erupt anyway. So, but then it will be a bad eruption. So I think we have to, just let this process naturally be. And then today I feel like, okay, now it's coming out, and this is this is the process, I guess.
Yeah, the process. And speaking of process, and speaking of process and children and what we are and everything that we're talking about, what I find fascinating in my deep dive into people going on these ceremonies, and it's almost like every single time you'll find people who, they do various things in life, but one thing that most people always do after a ceremony is they start drawing, or maybe they start writing. They suddenly tap into this like, oh, there's other things that I actually enjoy that I would not give it much of a thought, because I'm like, oh, I'm such and such age and I'm never going to be that good. And we talked about patience last night with art. But what this did was really and with you especially, you went on this like drawing frenzy, and it was just absolutely, for me, stunning to watch what these ceremonies will do in creativity. And here we go, opening the door to creativity.
Yeah.
So just to give a little background, if anybody doesn't know, I dabble in the arts, and that's as pretty much as I'll call it. I dabble in the arts because, again, I'm such an anti-label person. I hate labels. Oh yeah, well, I'm an artist. No, you have to be confident. You have to accept yourself as an artist. That's the point. It's not about being like pretentious. It's about accepting yourself, and you can like, yeah, well, I accept that we're all artists, okay? And I just look at kids and go, see, you were one of these little things, okay? They painted, you just stopped. You're that. So my discovery into this world happened very late in life. I say very late, but 33 years old to be exact. But I did this without a ceremony. I did this because I think I put myself in a strenuous place in my life where I was chasing something, being an actor, floating around, and I was conjuring all these creative energies because I was tapped into it and I was figuring it out, but I didn't know what to do with this energy. Much like going through a ceremony where you're starting to absorb all of this glow and you just want to take it and you want to create with it. And this is what happened to me kind of without the medicines. I was absorbing all this creative energy, just quit this hard labor life that I had previous to that. And I didn't know what to do with it. So I just went and bought a canvas intuitively, and I painted it, and I felt like God. I am God. I created. Look at this, and art is for me a massive sign that, this is going to be too deep for some people, maybe too deep for me. It's a sign that we are God. Okay, that is the biggest sign for me, is that we are God, because we want to create and experience that creation. Voila, the entire existence of life. And This is why we do this as kids. This is why you look at Native Americans and they just have stuff painted on the walls. You can look at the Egyptian times and they have stuff created and painted. You know, my biggest problem with the movie Avatar, which I loved so much, it was just a beautiful storytelling of travel and this different kind of ideology coming in and wiping out this nature kind of way and this bond of creativeness. But there was one thing that stood out to me the most in this Pandora world that I was just really bummed at. I was like, where's the tribal art? Why didn't you display that? Because that's so ingrained in our cultures. You see this in caveman art, and it's just everywhere because we are creators. We create our own lives. We create other lives. We create art. We build things. We have ideas. Those ideas in our mind become reality. In this reality, we are, without question, we are God experiencing itself because this is what we do all the time. And this is also why when people get into this, whether they feel comfortable there or not, they get into this boxed in, robotic, structured life that suddenly, whether they know it, whether their subconscious lets them know it or not, is they get depressed, they get stuck, they find ways to, I'm going to go on this really magnificent vacation and pretend that's my life for 2 weeks. Make that your life. You know, but people like they live that life. They just can't wait to I need to make lots of money and go on a yacht and go to the Bahamas. Well, go live on the Bahamas. Do you need a yacht for that? You what are we chasing here? You know, we're being led astray by one of our own. But we'll talk about this later. Anyway.
I think I asked you once when you were on the island, what is creation? What is creativity? What is that?
My answer is going to be different than others, but you're making me reflect on my answer, and creativity is every day for me, whether I do it or not. It's the life I found myself in. Again, whether I do it every day or not. Creativeness is like breathing for me. And I'm not protesting that I'm a great creator. I'm just saying that it's that easy for me to not do or do. It's just a part. It's like breathing. I can tune into my creativity and I can create, or I can just not tune into it, maybe not do it, but that doesn't mean things aren't still growing and popping and ideas are coming in my mind all the time. So there's a difference between creating ideas in your mind and then creating ideas in the reality through those thought moments. So it's life.
Yeah. It's interesting because I earlier in my life, I was always saying to people, I'm not creative. It's just not, I am not creative.
Do you know how many people say this, though? That there's nothing special about this. Everybody goes, yeah, well, I'm just not creative. Yeah, I can draw a stick man. That's about it. It's just the easiest opt out all the times. It's just self-doubt.
Yeah, it is. Because creation is not... I think I said this at another time as well. You don't have to be an artist to be creative. Every one of us is, and creation is everything. We don't have to write or paint or being an actor or something. We can create everything. Everything is art. Also building a house, whatever.
This is why I don't like the word artist. Because it's it's a description of something that's BS. You know, I truly see everyone as so-called artists. But what you precisely get into, then you can say, I love it when somebody says, I'm a painter. For me, that's like, wow, okay. Didn't call themselves an artist, didn't separate themselves from the rest of culture and rest of society, but particularly this person loves to paint. Oh, I'm an illustrationist, whatever you call it, illustrator. or I'm a writer. That's for me, that's such a more fluid answer that, yeah, I'm an artist. On the flip side of that coin, I love it when an actor says they're an artist, because again, that's the flip side of it, because there's a perception in acting, in that kind of storytelling, that there's just different volumes, right? There's different levels of this, and not that any level is wrong and not that any level should be scrutinized, but when you see an artist in that world. And I do love that. That's probably the only time I love hearing or maybe using the word towards someone as an artist when it comes to acting. Aside from that, that's not true. When I see, like you said, some architect who built something, I'm like, whew, that's not an architect, that's an artist. So there's a different way to integrate that, other than give it this like normal. It's like, I paint and draw, I'm an artist. Okay, cool, great. Everybody can do something. We're all artists. I don't know. It's just, I love flipping the coin back and forth.
Yeah, totally. I also think that people who are living their lives in a way where you can see that's how they are, that's also art for me.
Yes.
But yesterday I had also an interesting thought about what was art for me. Because I told you I was back in my childhood, I went to a school where we did a lot of art. And back then, I always tried to paint or to do these sculptures like very realistic. What is realistic? That's another discussion. But I always wanted to build up on the paper how things look like. And I was kind of frustrated if it didn't look like I saw it. And this is it's so interesting because it changed now. Because now for me, art is something where I bring to in my case, on a paper, how I feel or see the world, or how I experience. It's my reality, it's my truth, and it's not like I just see it with my eyes. Now this comes more from inside of myself, and also to build up other realities or other dimensions for other people in order to let them maybe also experience something else. And I found this change interesting.
Yeah. And this kind of flips the page to something else that I feel like we should unveil.
Yes.
And it's patience. How patience is also integrated. It's okay. So you flip the page in yourself, you rediscover this child, God-like being inside of you. And then comes another weapon of our society. It's like, okay, how long is it going to take to get good at this? I'm feeling really good. This is for me. This is for me. This is for me. And then you cut an eye to another creator, another artist, whatever you call it, and you go, well, shit. Oh man, I suck. I love what I'm doing when I'm focused on what I'm doing. But when I look at that and judge it against mine, maybe I should go find something else to do, because I see that. And how long is it going to take to get to that level? But it's like, the patience. I was talking to someone this morning, and for whatever reason, I had this intuitive to this signal to reach out to this person and say, hey, I'm just curious. Have you ever had a conversation with me about art? Anything you've ever drawn? I don't know why this is coming up, but I need to know. And this person responded back saying, no, I've actually never had a conversation with you about art. But interesting you said that. I was just talking to my girlfriend and having a conversation about like maybe this is something I want to start doing, but the problem is how do I integrate that into my life and not try to be a perfectionist in it? because I want to do it. He goes, I want to do it just for me. If I do it, I just want to do it for me. And I wrote back immediately. I was like, okay, interesting that you never had this conversation, but you've had these thoughts and somehow, I don't know, but I just want to quickly, maybe it's all for this conversation, or just to tell you that path that you just discovered, that you want to do it all for yourself, that's the path you got to stay on. You can be inspired by other people and even intimidated. I love to surround myself with artists that intimidate me. I love to surround myself with actors who intimidate me. I love intimidation because at first it gives me doubt. It throws me in this tailspin of like, I'm never going to get that good. But yet subconsciously they're like, shut the hell up. Let's do this, and then I lose myself in my process, and it indeed grows. But my friend who was having this thought, I said, that's a great way to approach this, because this person is very disciplined in almost every other aspect of their life, maybe a little extreme. And this person is thinking, well, I don't want this to be some kind of structured kind of discipline. I just want to do art for me. And I'm like, that's it. Do it for you. And we talked about last night that no matter what level you choose to be, like, okay, so I showed you some of my artworks last night, which are very pedestrian compared to what I'm capable of doing now, simply because of development and growth that happens in everything in life. That's what conjured. But I also put this, not really a goal, but I had sights on artists and artistry that I would love to get to that level of being able to conjure and articulate my visions that way. So I think subconsciously that's where I started evolving to. Although people loved my art at almost every step, but different people. And this is what's fascinating about creativity. A lot of people love Pollock. I look at Pollock and go, yeah, I could get a bunch of drunks over here and give them some pain and they can create the same damn thing. I'm very, it doesn't make any sense to me, but for some people, there's an artistry in the color use and you can feel the emotions in certain parts. And I'm just like, interesting perspective. So people connected with my art all the way through, even though I connected with myself also at each space. The problem with me is I look backwards, much like in life, and I look at that art that people bought, and I'm like, ooh, someone bought that? Ooh, what? Why? But I've gotten to another point in my life where I realized that it's because art is so subjective, like all the other artistries in the world, that people can connect with all different types of art. Art is art. It doesn't have a level, really. It's just about where you inspire to be able to articulate an artistry, or you like this abstract or very kind of simplistic way of storytelling. And people connect with all different levels, the simplistic and the Da Vinci, And so we had this beautiful discovery about art last night, and people get self-conscious in doing art. The first thing that people say is, I don't feel creative and I can barely draw a stick man. That's already expecting to be judged if they tap into it. You're going to judge me if I make a stick man and my stick man is shit. Well, no, it's not about that. It's about tapping into the presence and your experience with that creative feel. And either it stays that way. There are some artists that you look at and they've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. And it's literally stayed on the level. It still looks like this very simplistic, but very thoughtful artistry. And they didn't evolve, but they did, because they found something that connects within them, and they just enjoyed that space and they stayed there. And many other people supported them along the way because they also connected to it. I myself, like a moron, said, oh, Leonardo da Vinci, one day. Oh, I created a human. What are you going to name him? Leonardo? Yeah, way to go, Dad. Put some weight on his shoulders. Anyway.
There's so much to say about what you said. So many things. First off, this doing it for myself is the most beautiful thing. It's really, I mean, the funny thing is that after a few days, somebody said to me, "Can you paint something for me?" And I thought, I never expected to earn money with that. And I don't care. I still don't care. Well, if people want to buy it or want something on their walls, I would love to do it, of course, but it's not my goal. And I guess, or no, it's not, I guess, I think that's how it should be with everything. Find something that fulfills you, or that brings you in that moment, and that brings you away from running after something that you do just for you, what you would do also without money, and that's it. And the beautiful thing is that still, I mean, okay, well, it's only 10 days or something, but I still feel like I will forever do art for myself, to express myself, and not for anybody else. And I think that's the key. And also what you said with looking at another artist and, there the comparison starts. We can be inspired by somebody else. Also, I told you yesterday that, back to the impatience, that I looked at your art and also another artist, which is the art is so precise. And I asked myself, well, how many hours does that take? And I immediately felt my own impatience, like, oh my God. I mean, just to draw a lion or something in this precise way, it must have taken hours or days or whatever. And then I felt my own impatience. But then I came back to my own art and thought, well, I did something which also took me 4 or 5 hours, and I lost the time. It was the most beautiful. I didn't care what the time was. So I think when it comes to my own creation, I'm in this moment, and it doesn't care how much time it is. But you know what's interesting? You said you surround yourself with people who are, how did you say it?
That intimidate me.
Yeah, right. And I think that's something good, because that makes you grow in some way. And also, I mean, your art and also of that other artist, it kind of, it inspires me. And also with art, I think we talked about your early art pieces and the ones now. And I said yesterday, it could be 2 different artists. But that's also life. We change. And maybe what I want to express now will not be what I want to express in 1 year.
Yeah.
So we change. And the beautiful thing is that since I'm expressing myself in art, I surprise myself every day. Afterwards, I look at these pictures and I think, oh, I intuitively did this and that. And I look at the picture afterwards and see what I did, what I didn't realize in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, oh God, that's magic. That's the magic. You're speaking now of the magic. This moment where you do something, you're like, oh. I feel like this is God, right? I can't believe I'm talking about God, because like I don't talk about God much, because I come from a very certain religious background that I kind of had to extract myself from and reboot my system, and in that rebooting, I had to be strictly anti-religion for a long time, and I still am. but this reconnection of God is so prevalent in my life, especially more now. And this is much like God must feel. It's like, oh, I created these things. Whoa, look, they're these little humans are parts of myself. And now it's going to work some stuff out. And it's going to be like, oh, and they're little creators too. Look at them go. Look at these not go. Look at these. Oh, ooh. Anyway, it's a process. It's this is why when you see these visionary artists and there are certain people, certain shamans that you go to, and you can go into a shaman's house and they've got a picture of Jesus, and over here they've got a Buddha, and over here they've got, I don't know, some Indian tribal thing. And then I walk into my own house and like, I've got Native Americans, I've got Egyptian stuff. I've got, it's kind of like this idea that religions are just storytellings, storytellings of the same thing in different perspectives. And this is why they all are the same thing. This is why people that I look up to, like Alex Gray, the Dean of Artists, he does all art and he conjures all gods, Allah and Jesus and the Buddha, and he paints all these things. And I'm like, well, dude, I remember when I first discovered it, I was like, which God do you believe in? Oh, all of them are just different stories processed by us humans. Okay, now I'm with you. And like, for me, that's such a beautiful thing. So this feeling that you get when you create a piece and you're like, I just surprised. Oh my God. This is my first experience when I first painted my first canvas in Decatur neighborhood or area of Atlanta, Georgia. When I was 33 years old, I had this drug-like feeling that I got naturally, my first massive dopamine hit, I guess, naturally. And when I created something and I got addicted to that feeling of capability and this godlike in myself. But something else you said that I wanted to, the rabbit always makes some kind of appearance. I love it. And the rabbits are always here and he always makes some kind of noise appearance. This is where I chime in and go, boom, rabbit's here down the rabbit hole. But you mentioned that this impatience of when you see someone who does incredible work, you're like, oh my God, how long is that going to take if I were to do something like that? And that's it. That's the essence of experiencing yourself as a creator. There's so many ways you could go with what I'm about to say, because it's also used in the terminology of like how to live life. It's not about how long it's going to take and you getting to that point of, I finished it. Oh my God, look at this. This took so long. It's about losing yourself in the process of creating it. And it can be timeless. Just like the people say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's the same thing. It's the same thing in art. And that's why some people can flow into that. And I think that I surround myself, I guess, energetically with artists that I know that are better than me. And I know that I am inspired. I'm also intimidated, but in a way that's fuel for me, not competitively, but just understanding there's so many levels that you can dive deep into the presence of the moment that you're in, and one of my friend artists, her name is Meg. She listens to our show. So hi, Meg. But her artist completely intimidates me in such a beautiful, inspiring, like, how long have you been doing this? Okay, it doesn't matter. It's like even to this day, I find other people. And what's also okay. I gotta admit something. And I'm gonna breathe for a second because I get excited, so I need to slow down and
just
breathe.
one second.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Now you mentioned her name. It's the same person I was talking about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And I think it's interesting. We're always talking about people in the podcast. I think we should invite her as well to the show.
Meg, you've been officially invited. But you too, Alex Gray. Just saying. But yeah. Oh gosh, that was beautiful. And I completely just brain fogged on where I was going after that. And I guess it wasn't that important. But no, you're right. It was Meg, and her artistry is inspiring.
And people intimidating you. No, what was it?
Yeah, it just poof, it gone like a little fairy dust. It just kind of went away. But that's okay. I'm sure it will come back.
About the process. No, about being in the moment and about the process. And the interesting thing is, when I came back from the Netherlands, yesterday I told you that I was drawing the whole flight. And I remember that it was not only one. I bought myself this little sketchbook in the Netherlands, and I was almost all flight on one drawing, and then in between I felt a bit stuck, and then I turned the page and I saw, oh, there was something else I started, and now I'm feeling this, so I continued with this, and after 10 minutes I went back to the other one because I then had an idea what to do with the other one. And it was such a beautiful process. And just the person next to me, she was always like looking at me and what I'm doing. And I think I could even feel her thoughts of, how can she 4.5 hours just be drawing and listening to music? And
like, woman, I'm in the afterglow, chill out. Because I think even myself, I can't draw for 4 straight hours on a plane. I have to take a break. I think for myself, I need an exhale. I can't suffocate myself in anything that I do. But that's beautiful. That's beautiful, because I had the same thing when I went to Fuerteventura. I was drawing because I get excited and I draw, and then people kind of like pick over their shoulder, like, And do you know what the person said beside me? That's really cool. I can only draw stickmen. Like that's such a, everybody on the planet says that. Oh, I can draw stickman. This is like an easy out. Shut up. You can do better than that. And you can do better than that. But this reminded me what I was going to say. And I do feel like saying it now, which is going to unveil myself as indeed I'm still human. These people, and I'm not talking about Meg at this point, but because I haven't seen her. She hasn't unveiled her flaw yet. I think that's also great in people. But like some artists that that are just next level, and they'll do like a quick drawing, or they'll do like a life drawing that, where they have a model that comes up and they draw it. And then I see their work, like I see what they're capable of doing, and then I see their life drawing in the moment, and I'm like, ooh, somebody's not perfect, and that gives me a little bit of like, okay, yeah, okay. Like there's some, but that's the human part. It gives me a little inspiration when I see somebody not hit their own levels. Sometimes I see the human in them. And I'm like, whoa, I can do better than that, I think, in that moment. It feels like a competitive thing. It's not a competitive thing at all, because again, I surround myself with people that I know are better than me. But I also surround myself like watching my son paint is one of the most amazing things in the world. And I kid you not, when I started at 33, my son is there at 6, same level. Well, maybe not quite that, but still. But we just put a cap on that at some point. We tell them, hey, you need to go learn algebra. Not that there's anything wrong with algebra. It's a creative numbers too. But what I'm saying is, like, yeah, people have to rediscover the artist in them later in life because, other things.
The interesting thing is that person who says she or he can only draw a stick person. Now you said it, I think that's something about, we are also talking about a lot, expectations, what people expect from themselves. If they do something, how does that have to be?
Gosh,
and that's, I think, expectations, it's just that just comes to my mind now. Expectations stop creativity.
Thank you. And you said something earlier about this is how we condition our society. I just had a moment while you were talking about expectations and people having this, and I was thinking goal. And then I connected goal, like a goal in soccer. Do you remember as a kid when you could just go out on the soccer field or whatever, and it was just about playing? It wasn't so much about scoring the goal and winning the game. It was about the experience of just losing yourself in the activity of playing. Whether you won or lost wasn't so important. You know, and we also treat kids that way. Like, it's not about whether you won, it's about how you have fun. Do you see that in bigger things? Do you see Barcelona? I think Barcelona played Madrid yesterday. I don't know in the soccer, but it blew up everywhere. Did you see people walking around? I was like, I don't care who won. Did you see those guys out there? They were just having fun. People don't look at things that way, and it's an interesting, it's an interesting constructed thing that one of us has created. We're going to tap into that.
I mean, that's in everything, right? Now you said the sports thing. I remember when I also did a lot of sports when I was younger. I was always at my best when I didn't expect anything, or like I told you these days about my surf experience. I had this thought, maybe this is not fun for me anymore, because I was kind of frustrated in the last weeks. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe then it is not fun for me anymore. I just go in and see what happens. And maybe afterwards I think, okay, that's not my sport anymore. And I went in, I had the best session ever, because I just thought, what the fuck? And just whatever will happen. So, and there I realized that in the weeks before, I always had expectations, like I want to surf higher waves, more waves, become better. It's again this chasing after something. And once I let go of this and I just went in and thought, okay, and maybe I don't have fun and maybe I will stop surfing after that, whatever. I had the best day ever. So again, expectations.
What you work in the film, you've worked in the film industry, and you probably still will in the future. I know you and I both will. But what is one thing when you ask another actor, what is a common answer you hear when you're like, oh, so if you were to look back at your career when it's over, what's one thing you wish would happen? I would say 80% of the time you're going to get, I'd love to win an Oscar. It's a goal. And this is a very interesting perspective that I've always had towards premieres and these award shows, that I've just been I remember being this pretentious kind of inspiring actor where I rebelled and talked shit. There's my one cuss word for the day. Of these ceremonies, again used in giving awards to the best actor or movie or actress or director or whatever. It's like these goals that people have. Like, how many actors answer like, I just want to look back and note that I told some really good stories, not like I want to be recognized and given a golden trophy. But that is the majority of people who get into all aspects of storytelling in that format, whether it be directing or writing. They want to win awards. They want to work for HBO. They want to now get on Netflix. They want to they have all of these goals rather than just losing themselves as a storyteller, maybe, and having the experience. Now, this is where I look at some actors and like, okay, that's an artist. I'm going to name drop for a moment just because I think it's probably the one time that I watched an award show clip, because I couldn't watch many award shows, but I watched an award show clip once of Jim Carrey, and he got on stage about being like a 2-time Emmy award winner. I'm not going to regurgitate his speech and try to up him on his own speech, but it was beautiful because he just had this beautiful way to convey that these award shows were bullshit And like he said that I'm a 2-time winner, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm not just an ordinary person that goes to bed. No, no, no. I'm a person who goes to bed with dreams of being a 3-time award winner, blah, 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 because then I'll be enough. And like that, for me, it was just like, boom, nailed it. It's not about this goal of being rewarded, like you said, conquer the big wave or whatever. Or for myself in my own journey, like looking at Da Vinci and be like, oh yeah. But did I ever think I would come close to that realm? No. Did that stop me from enjoying my journey and actually blooming towards that anyway? I'm not going to win a Leonardo da Vinci award at some point, but this is my deflection when it also comes to like premieres and all these art things and like people like, oh, I just want to go down the red carpet and get my photo taken and mingle with all these people. And like, I've just so been like it disgusts me in a way. And it really puts me off about our business. And I didn't really know why so much, but it's starting to define itself. It's the same as being in the present and being appreciative of what you're creating and the experience of that. Not this long-term goal of being able to like, yeah, I partied with Clint Eastwood. Yeah, I won an award. Yeah, I went to this red carpet. Those are, I don't know. They just seem like false gods. As they speak in religious books, those are false gods. Those are false goals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that came
because
from,
there's a wrong motivation behind it.
Right.
Of being seen or recognized. And, when I was younger, I heard this a lot, like you can reach everything what you want. And for a long time in my life, I still think that this is true, but not in that way. For a long time, I tried to do or reach everything with my ambition and with doing and with, okay, if I want this, I can reach it. So let's just do it. But that was too much pressure and expectations and everything. And I think the art in everything is to have the visions but visions have to come from a place inside of you where you can see what you could create and not what you want because you want to be seen or recognized or leave something on this earth, whatever. So I think the art of everything is to not wanting it too much anymore.
Yeah, that would be my closing argument to this, is exactly what you said. To people that have the philosophy that, I could never remember my lines. I could never be an actor. Oh, I'm going to get nervous in front of the camera. Oh, I can only draw stick men. Oh, I don't know. I don't have a talent for that. What you see over and over and over and over again in our species is that the people that lose themselves in the now, in the presence, in the experience of what they're doing, those are the ones that achieve goals, maybe without having the goal in mind. Now, are there people that put up the sparkling thing on the hill that they go after? I'm sure there are. But for me, my own personal perception and artistry is just the people who lose themselves in the focus of the experience. And that in itself is the beauty of existing, because we're not racing toward a goal. We're not racing toward death. We're not racing toward the end of our lives to be like, okay, we did all these things. It's about the now. They speak about this in so many different religions and so many different teachings. It's about being in the present. It's about experience. That is life. It's not about looking back at it and being like, oh, that was fun. I'm at the hill now. It's over, So, yeah.
I think that's it for today, right?
I think so too. Yeah. I think that was quite lovely.
Yes.
So go draw your stick, people, kids. Don't be afraid of the stick person. Don't be afraid of the stick man. That's going to be my slogan. Don't be afraid of the stick man. It's wrong.
I love that.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that'll do it for now, my friends. As always, thanks for joining us, you gods. And now that we've revealed that you are indeed God, we'll go create something. Or not. Either way, cue the magical Egyptian music.